And he doesn't have a Japanese name, but I'm going to try to pronounce German, right? It's a German name? Eric Harner? Okay, I did my best. I studied German, but I don't want to butcher your name. Vice President of the Japan Business Association here in Miami. So thank you so much, Eric, for being with us. And I know later on you're going to present that we invited some Japanese businesses and organizations to talk to us as well. Thank you very much. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you so much, Paula, for the invitation. Thank you so much, Consul General Tsuda, for the why we should do business with Japan. I think that's very important. We learned Japan is the 4th largest economy in the world. It's a bit embarrassing. I'm from Germany, and Germany has overtaken Japan. But still, it is very rewarding. I try to say in the very beginning, doing business with Japan is not a sprint, because I've been in the US for 10 years. I've been working with Japan for over 30 years. And a lot of my clients in the US, they want to get an ROI on doing business with Japan quickly. So where's my quick win? When do I get my money back? But Japan is a marathon, not a sprint. But the difference is, has anybody ever completed a marathon? Raise your hand, there you go. Isn't it really rewarding? It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And the same applies to doing business with Japan. From my experience in doing business with Japan for 30 years. So, before I jump into the presentation, I want to get a grasp of who of you have been to Japan already. All right, that's about half of the audience. All right, that's good. Very good. And I went through the participant list, and there were logistics companies, service companies, IT. May I ask, logistic companies? Any logistic companies? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. IT. IT 1. Okay. What about services? Okay. Also services. All right. Good. Good mix. I want to give you now, since Consul General Tsuda gave us a insight into why to do business with Japan, on how to do business. Now you say, okay, I know why to do business with Japan. How do I do it? And I'll start with a quick introduction, why you should listen to me, or who I am, why am I here. Then I will talk about the low-hanging fruit. When you want to do business with Japan, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go to Japan to do business with Japan. You can also do business with Japan right here in South Florida, here in Broward. And then I will give you, I want to shock you a little bit and tell you how not to sell in Japan. Usually the best approach on learning how to do something is learning how not to do something. Basically do the opposite of how not to do it. And then give you a success story, a 5-step system to sell in Japan, and then also a checklist where you can take something home, and even if you forget everything that we told you today, you can go back to the checklist and go step by step and say, okay, step 1, this is what I have to do. Step 2, this is what I have to do. And then I'll give you a fun fact about business or about marketing in Japan. And summary and closing, and we have some amazing 2 companies, 1 old economy, 1 new economy, and 1 organization that I'm also going to introduce and they're going to talk about. And let's go to the next slide. Just a little bit about me. Why should you listen to me? I've been doing business with Japan for 30 years. Back in the days when there was no internet, I had a pen pal. Some people know what that is. And he was in Japan. I wanted to speak, read, and write in Japanese. So I jumped into cold water, and I was 16 years old. I went to Japan on a high school exchange. And I was in a host family. That was the most amazing experience I've ever had. And I never looked back. I learned the language. My English teacher in the school that I was attending didn't even speak English. And I'm not a native speaker either. But he asked me to come to the front and do the English lecture for the Japanese students, because he was saying, your English is a lot better than mine. So long story short, I founded Japan Business Consulting in 2016 after working in Japanese corporations for over a decade. And my passion is about bringing South Florida and Japan closer together. I'm also the Vice President of the Japan Business Association. We are an association of 30 companies, around 100 members total, and we want to bring Japanese companies closer to South Florida, connect with the community, and that's one of my biggest objectives here. Let's go to that. So what are the low-hanging fruit? Here are a couple of Japanese companies in South Florida that might be interested in doing business with you. It depends which business or industry you're in, but just be aware first before heading out and trying to find clients in Japan. There might be opportunities here, or to get a foot into the door and then to expand to Japan, because this is your best bet on making business experiences and understanding the demands of Japanese businesses that are very, very demanding in terms of precision, quality, delivery times. Going the extra mile is kind of standard in Japan. Here it's superior service, but that's expected. So we have Omron, they're in automation and healthcare. And if you are in IT, there might be some options for integrated software or logistics to streamline their supply chain. Riso, they make printers and digital duplicators, also located in Sunrise. And again, IT and logistic firms might supply or partner with the ecosystem here, but also keep in mind that most of the companies that are not medical device or pharma companies, they cater to the Latin American market. So Miami is a hub for the Latin American market for many Japanese companies, which can be an advantage if you also deal with Latin America. So keep that in mind. If they're not focused on, if they are focused on pharma or medical devices, then they cater more towards the North American market. So Consul General Tsuda mentioned a couple of companies. Terumo is one of them, Omron is one of them. There's Novin Pharmaceuticals that are focused more on the North American market. Just keep that in mind when you decide which of the companies to target. And I also invite you, more than happy to connect if you're interested in the Japan Business Association to learn more. Please let me know. I'm more than happy to welcome new members to the association. Let's move on to the next one. So, how to not sell in Japan? It's a little bit of a busy chart, but I just try to show you that you might be aware that Japanese streets are a bit narrower than American streets. And they can be up to 3 times smaller or narrower than US streets. And to give you an example of one of the most popular US pickup trucks, an Ford F-150, and a popular pickup truck in Japan, which is a Subaru Sambar. Now, Ford exited the Japanese market in 2015. And one of the reasons was because they just sold their product as is to the Japanese market without adjusting, without even considering what does the Japanese market actually need. It's like, we have a best-selling pickup truck, it needs to sell in Japan too. And that's how, unfortunately, it doesn't work, so they had to exit the market. It's not just because of the F-150, but it's a big reason. Even if you look at this is at the Subaru, the bed in towards the end, or the truck bed, the cargo it's 90% of the F-150. But the purpose of an F-150 is different, right? Here, as it's written, it's also used by soccer moms to bring kids to school and so on. It's a totally different approach, but that doesn't really work. No mom in Japan would like to drive this truck, believe me. All right, let's go to the next one. So here's a success story. So that was a big player, right? Ford, imagine. They had all the money in the world to invest into the Japanese market, and they were unsuccessful and they had to leave. Here's a small startup that works with blockchain technology for security. And they knew that the only way that they could do business in Japan is to adjust to the local market. So what did they do? They first started in a so-called accelerator program. There is one which is called Plug and Play Japan. It's focused more on tech startups, but they also have other branches. So I invite you to look into Plug and Play Japan. And what they did is they met with executives at this accelerator program. They pitched their idea, but they didn't stop there. They actually continued to work with the local team at meetups at a co-working space. So they were saying, let's meet once a week, and we want to adjust, we want to take this continuously, we want to work with you long term. And they built a team that was listening to the demands of Fujitsu, which is a major player in the IT space in Japan. They're meeting with them once a week and developed a product that they could actually use in cybersecurity and IT security, utilizing their technology of blockchain. So the takeaway here is strategic partnerships with Japanese corporates via accelerators like Fujitsu can open doors for startups. So if you're a startup, if you're somewhere in the tech sector, or even not, look into Plug and Play, look into accelerator programs. Consul General Tsuda already mentioned there's a big support system through JETRO as well, but there are a lot of tech companies in Japan that are actually interested in innovation, specifically from the United States. I used to help the Japan External Trade Organization identify many of the potential companies that that had some potential in the Japanese market, to tell them, hey, you could actually collaborate with a Japanese company. You could even get venture capital from corporate venture capital firms in Japan if you're interested. So there are a lot of opportunities in that sector. So that's a success story. Let's move on. Now the 5-step system to success in Japan. Step 1, market analysis. Consul General Tsuda mentioned already around 3 steps. I expanded this to 5 steps. Step 2, a tailored offer, then lead generation or finding a partner, then thinking about your local team. If you want to be successful in Japan long term, you have to have a local team. It's Japanese business partners. I mean, like everywhere, everything is built on trust, but if you don't have a local support or a local team, it will be very difficult to develop that trust. If something happens and it's 2 a.m. in the US and they need to reach out to you and you're sleeping, they need somebody to talk to. And then step 5, strategic marketing. Next slide, please. So step 1, a comprehensive market analysis. First and foremost, you need to do your homework. So there's a great resource that I put at the end. It's a market reports from JETRO. Whichever industry you're in, you most likely will be able to find something. Do your homework, understand how big the market is, who are your competitors, and where can you fit in. Don't compete, try to find the gap in the market where your product or service really fits in. So I will, at the very end, I'll show you a fun fact about a fast food chain in Japan and how they were able to succeed in Japan. But you don't need to necessarily reinvent or compete, as I mentioned, with Japanese companies, but try to find something that is very unique to what you're offering and that already has possibly some traction in the local market. Let's move on to those. Then a business offer for the Japanese market. Understand consumer needs. What do Japanese consumers want from your product? And understand that they might not want the same thing as US companies are looking for. And what I always try to say is business is about solving pain points. If you have a client, he has a problem. So it's about problem solving, right? If he's buying your service, it's because he wants to save time to solve his problem. That's what business is. Solving problems is business. So try to understand what is it that your potential Japanese customer has as a pain point or as a problem, and try to address that specifically. And that pain point, that's a key point, might not be exactly the same like a US customer. And again, try to look into cultural values. As mentioned, trust is very big in Japan. It's everywhere, but there is, in Japan, there is a tendency to trust companies that are 100 years or older a lot more than any companies that are just startups. So it's the startup ecosystem in Japan, it is growing, but it's still comparable compared to the US. It's still difficult to get traction as much because you still need to establish trust. Here in the US, it's much more interesting. I think it's cool to be an entrepreneur, to have a startup. In Japan, it's still a little bit more conservative. People tend to go to the big corporations, the companies that are established, but that at the same time means that there's an opportunity and that there might be less competition for you if you're a small business or a startup. So see it also as a competition. And a resource as to how to make your business offer, there's the USCS, that's the United States Commercial Services. They have a great service which is called the Gold Key Service. So if you're looking for companies or for business partners, if you're a small business, I think it's $1,000, if I remember, the last time it was $1,000 or $1,200 for finding you meetings with 3 potential business partners for your business in Japan. So please check out the resource in the QR code. Next one, please. Then talking about lead generation, finding your clients and finding your partners. Now, it is always easier to find clients through a partner, but I had examples where some of my US clients also found clients directly through trade shows. It is still very important to attend trade shows. There are even opportunities to attend trade shows, not necessarily in person. So you can just in your, let's say, in your industry, research Japan trade show logistics, Japan trade show IT, and try to understand who is there at the trade show, and try to arrange online meetings with them through the trade show platform. That is possible nowadays, and Japanese trade show organizations actually promote that. So if you need, for example, an interpreter, they sometimes will provide an interpreter for you to talk to the company that you are interested in. And what is important is be patient. Remember what I said in the beginning, Japan is not a sprint, it's a marathon. So do your follow-up. Do your follow-up, say, I'm really interested in doing business with you. I'm here for the long term, and I want to do business with you for the long term. And if you can stay with that attitude, you will be eventually successful. So there's a Tokyo International Industry Exhibition, which I recommend checking out. I put this, that's a very broad exhibition because you're from different areas, but you can obviously look into trade shows that are more geared towards your industry. This is one that is geared towards Japanese businesses that are very local, small and medium-sized businesses, just like yours, that are interested in doing business with international small and medium-sized businesses. So that's also an opportunity besides the e-venue resource and J-Bridge resource that JETRO provides, that Consul General Tsuda already introduced. Next one. Then the local team. So again, depends on your business area. Finding a distributor or a business partner can be very helpful because they already have the network. You don't have to do all the groundwork to find clients, to build your network in Japan. That can be very helpful. Just be careful, from personal experience working with clients. Some of my clients have taken on the first distributor, Japanese distributor that they met at a trade show, and unfortunately it wasn't the right one. Either because he didn't have coverage for the whole of Japan, or they had a competitor in their lineup, which my client didn't know of. So do your homework again when we go to step 1. Understand who the key players are, who are the distributors in the market, and then proactively reach out to them and say, hey, are you on this trade show? I would like to meet with you. I would like to discuss. And don't only talk to one distributor. Talk to 2, 3, 4, 5. And then understand who might be the best fit for you. How much budget are they going to dedicate to your product when they do marketing in Japan? What is their sales force? Are they going to actively promote your product, or is it just going to be on the shelf for somebody to ask for it? So that's also a good one. There's a resource, Daijo, that's like the #1 bilingual job site. If you are at the step of hiring someone in Japan, it could be even somebody part-time. If you just want to do some local market research, hey, can you go for me to this trade show and ask a couple of things, or hand out my brochures? That's also possible. Don't think just because you're here in the US that obviously Japan's on the other side of the world, and fortunately we still don't have a direct flight from South Florida. We're working on it. But use all the resources that you have, and it doesn't have to cost a fortune to hire somebody locally. You can pay them by the hour, and they will go for you to the trade shows and hand out or be your sales representative, even for a short time. Next one, please. So last but not least, strategic marketing and long-term relationships. So you'll see that I wrote Yahoo Japan here. There's like Yahoo. What is that? Do some of you still remember Yahoo? That was in the beginning of the internet, right? Nobody's using it here in the US anymore. Actually, Yahoo has a 20% market share in Japan still. Google obviously is dominating, but everybody's still, to this day, I don't want to say everybody, but the majority is still using Yahoo News as a source for information in Japan. So you can get an advantage by utilizing local advertising platforms like Yahoo, and you'll get a lower cost per click if you want to target the Japanese consumer or Japanese business partner. So that's that's kind of like a resource that you should certainly use. Then I always encourage, even if you're a B2B or business-to-business company, make some kind of content in Japanese. Position yourself as an expert that you know what exactly you are providing to the Japanese market. Even if you can't do it alone, try to, as I showed the resource prior to that with the Japanese job board, find someone that can help you to make content, to position yourself as an expert, that they already know, oh wow, that company is a US company, but they already have some content out in Japanese. They have a social media presence. They have a Facebook page, big one. LinkedIn is not very big in Japan. Very few people in Japan use LinkedIn for business purposes. It's usually Japanese business people that have been to the US that then return to Japan to stay in touch with their business connections in the US. But Japanese local businesses usually don't use LinkedIn. But they do use Facebook. So try to focus on making content to position yourself accordingly. And again, leverage local partnerships. If you can get a good partner in Japan, it will open a lot of doors. It will open a lot of doors. If they already have an established name, you find a distributor that has been around, they will be able to open doors for you that you will have difficulty doing. And then Dentsu is like I would say the biggest Japanese marketing agency. They have a great report page on different ways on how you can improve your marketing and your branding and position yourself long-term in Japan. Check that out too. And if that was too much, let's move on to the next one. If that was too much, I have, as mentioned, a check sheet and a mini course on YouTube. You can kind of piggyback on Paula's 11 steps to exporting.
Thank you.
Does anybody know that?
Yes.
She actually got the President's Award for that.
Yes.
So I was so impressed by that I made something similar but tailored to Japan.
Nice, I love it.
And there's a checklist. You will, if you scan the QR code, that's the checklist for the Google form, and it will take you through, and accompanying the Google form, you have 10 videos where you can go step by step and check off all the boxes where you at in your journey in doing business with Japan. And you'll understand if you, let's say you stop doing proactively searching for a business with Japan, because that's another point. If you don't take action, you will unfortunately not be successful. You really need to take action and put this on the agenda, or it has to be on the agenda of your company. So this year, I will do business with Japan. It has to be one of your top priorities. You can't do it on the side. As mentioned, you can't run a marathon on the side. So feel free to check out this resource. It's completely free, and it will take you step by step along your journey on doing business in Japan. Next one, please. So, last but not least, the fun fact. Who knows about KFC in Japan? Did anybody know that? Yeah, all right. So, actually, eating a bucket of KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken in Japan, is a Christmas tradition in Japan. So you'd ask yourself, what? That's what I asked myself. But it was a genius idea by, actually it was not an American marketing manager, but it was a Japanese local marketing manager. And he listened to his US colleagues talking about the difficulty of finding turkey for Christmas in Japan in the 70s. So he said, well, that's an interesting Christmas tradition, turkey. Well, we don't have turkey, but we have chicken. Let's make it that in the US, it's a tradition to eat KFC. And they just started a marketing campaign just with that. And because there wasn't a real Christmas tradition in Japan, they filled a void. They said, oh wow, so nowadays, you will have to order possibly a year in advance your bucket of KFC for Christmas Eve. Otherwise, you will have to deal with third-party KFC knockoffs, and you know, you don't. It doesn't feel like the real deal if you don't have a real KFC on your table, and your kids will notice, and they won't post pictures on Instagram. So this is a genius example on how you can fill certain voids, how you can understand. Okay, there's a void where maybe U.S. Example or U.S. tradition could be something that we can bring to Japan, we can introduce to Japan. And I'm asking to be creative. Think about your own industry. What is something that you do differently or better than your competitors? What is something that nobody has really thought about? And this is something that you can use in the Japanese market as well. Because Japan is open for innovation, and they're craving innovation from the US. Next slide, please. So what did we learn today? I just sum it up. It's the very last one. If you want to be successful in Japan, you need to take action. I understand, I've been to many seminars like this one. You're here, everybody's pumped up like a balloon. Okay, I want to go and do something. But then you go home, it's like, ooh, right? So use the resources and think about it that it's a long-term game, it's a marathon. You need to prepare for it, you need to take it step by step. Don't rush it. Think about it as a long-term strategy, and you will be successful. Okay, I think that's the answer. And thank you so much. And as promised, we also have 3 companies that are going to give a quick presentation about their ties with Japan. We have one fintech company, we have one manufacturing and aerospace and defense services and parts company, so more old economy, and then we have also an organization. And I encourage you to listen, and maybe you can get out something on how you can improve your business with Japan. And the first speaker is Robert Moy from Trade Station, and they're a US-based broker, but they are owned by a Japanese financial institution called Monex Group. It's a major Japanese financial institution, and he'll introduce you to their activities here in South Florida. Thank you so much, man.